like when you speak about hyper-personalization, what is hyper-personalization? Is I know everything around you. I know all your data. I know everything about your cookies, what you do. And then I can provide you specific ads in your website to be able to get. And you say, oh, what the hell? How? They are listening to me? They are into me.
When most people think blockchain utilities, they think towards the financial industry and how it could innovate things such as payments and currencies. And that makes sense, as the most common iterations of digital assets we've seen are usually as an alternative form of payments. But that's just barely scratching the surface on how blockchain can bring disruptions to the financial industry. From security tokens, global liquidity, open finance, industry compliance, and so much more. AllianceBlock is one of the projects that sees all this change happening with blockchain technology. And they're trying to capture all this innovation by having their ecosystem not just be a single purpose in finance, but rather have a bunch of standalone modules to build a complete ecosystem of fintech innovations by distributed ledger technology. In this episode, I got to once again sit down with AllianceBlock CEO Rachid Ajaja to discuss on all that's happened with AllianceBlock since we've last talked, and some exciting news on partnerships and new plans they've got in the pipeline from their recent collaboration with Crunchbase, Plug and Play, and ToroNet, all the way to their operations given the recent MiCA regulations in the EU. I had a lot of fun with this interview, and it's always a pleasure to have Rachid on to give us an update on AllianceBlock. But before we start the interview, I just gotta remind you guys that nothing you ever get from us will ever be any form of financial or investment advice. And so without any further delays, let's dive right down the rabbit hole. Welcome back to the channel. As you guys can see, we have a very special guest once again on. So Rachid Ajaja has agreed to come on and make, a special reappearance. So I'm really excited to talk about everything we've got planned today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for having me again. And I'm really pleased to come back. It's been like a while actually, time fly. But yeah, I'm very happy to come back. Lots of things, lots of exciting things. Many things happened since then. So yeah, super cool to be here with you.
It's always an honor to have you on, Rachid. So just to start off, do you want to give us a little update on everything that's happened with AllianceBlock since we've last discussed? I mean, so much has happened, both, good and some not so good, but I think the future's looking really bright and you guys are building ahead, no mercy, right?
Okay. Wow, if I need to spend time to say all what's happened, I think we will finish the hour, but when I will try to start, I would say from the bad things and the good things. So like since what happened with the bank hack indeed, and the impact that's what we had during this period, I think something that we understand very, very good is one is the power of the community and the support that we had. Two, the most important things is the power of focus. Okay, so when we managed this, with the team, everything that happened in terms of token economics, in terms of the communication, in terms of everything was done from end to end, basically in less than 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And we managed to have new tokens, issue new tokens, making like everything's like for people to be able to claim it. It was like once it shows that the people we had in the team, they were absolutely, I would really use the term no mercy, because they didn't sleep actually. And we saw people caring. It's not just about like working in a company, but basically caring about AllianceBlock, the reputations, everything, care about the community, plus the community itself. That was very patient, of course. Of course, we cannot please anyone, as we discussed before, but I think we couldn't have managed this better than what we have done. And I think this is really important. But the second thing is that actually the biggest learning from this period, so I would say now that we have spent, we started in a bear market AllianceBlock, we saw bull market, we did another bear market, another bull market, we saw bear market, we saw hack, so we can say that we have seen everything. But actually this accelerates our roadmap a lot, because we have, of course, deleted some of the 150 million tokens that was basically deleted, which reduced to 850 million. This helped us actually to create the DAO, which is a huge acceleration for us, because now we have the first proposal, which is really amazing. We have lots of people basically voting for the data channel, and we have more proposals that are coming. So this is really the switch between the AllianceBlock as a company, as a foundation, into really a decentralized autonomous organization, which is really perfect, because we have been speaking this since the beginning, but now we are actually achieving this. Okay. Then in terms of product development, we had, because of what happened, to focus the teams. Because as you know, the biggest strength and weakness of AllianceBlock is to have a lot of modules. Each module, it could be startups. So we speak about funders, peer-to-peer funding. We speak about decentralized exchange. We speak about like DeFi terminal and DeFi tolling. We speak about trustless identity verification, TIDV, compliance, KYC, all this. So which are really good because all this together, okay, it is AllianceBlock ecosystem. It is the bridge between traditional finance and decentralized finance, okay? But the problem is it was very hard in a communication level, in a marketing level, because if you ask even the hardcore people for AllianceBlock, what is AllianceBlock? It is bridging DeFi to traditional finance, but like how? It's very hard for people to speak about specific products, and even sometimes we have so many news, so many amazing news that it can dilute actually the overall value. So, which is kind of paradoxical, okay? So the question was, like, how can we basically, from all our learning, manage to converge our messaging and to get like one specific? So this is where we started really bringing big clients, because we speak about institutional everything. So we had art banks, 1.5 billion assets under management, tokenization of arts, having investors to invest with buyback options, building the whole tokenization, the whole compliance part, the identity part, and having the full end-to-end from compliance level, from primary issuance, from secondary markets, all, which is huge by itself, okay? Then we had the second, which is AgriFi with USAID. USAID has put $100 million to basically to have guaranteed loans of the Nigerian farmer, which is basically up to 75%, 80% if there is a default. But it's a huge use case because it's impact investing, okay? These doors open us, like all the farmer, I would say, and the micro credits and micro investments in the Asia Pacific. So you have Indonesia, you have Malaysia, you have all these things, and even Middle East, okay? We are working now on it's the same technology always. Tokenizations, compliance, identity, okay? But then for carbon credits tokenization, which we are working on, we haven't still announced it, but this is something that I can tell here, okay? Then we started to think, okay, so we're having client, we start to generate revenue, it is bringing utility. On the other hand, you have funders. We have the successful 3 project, the 40 is coming, even though we had like these bear market conditions, even though all what happened, we have managed to have to close like the sales. Like do we have raised around 150 out of I think 200. Flus, it was sold out. Leox, it's almost sold out. And we have Crest, which is like people, I think they don't see like the huge value of Crest, which is the canary network of Peak Network. Peak Network, just for your information, it's now raising a valuation at $300 million with the biggest VCs. And we are giving the opportunity to people to get one peak for one if they invest 25,000, basically at a valuation which is more than half, because they are getting it for free. So, and it's having its auction currently for the Parashell, and we know that it will win the auction for next one. So if people just check Peak Network, who are there, who are their partners, it's the next Moonbeam basically in terms of what happened. It's the next Tau, is the next. So it's huge. And I'm not just trying to speak about them because like we are doing it in funders. People need to check. And the fact that we are having the opportunity to give them in funders, it's a huge deal, okay? So the teams is working pretty well. And then we have the news about Crunchbase. So Crunchbase, 75 million customers, huge data. It's the first time ever that a company is able to bring data such this into on-chain. The biggest problem before, it was how can you provide your data to the decentralized markets, okay, without risking that the data is cannibalized? What prevents me that data I provided on-chain, someone can copy it and can basically spread it? And this is one of the biggest reasons why oracles cannot get the data from stock exchange on-chain, because they don't want people to have access to this data for free, and they don't want to have this, and they have no way of monitoring. This is where Nexera ID comes into force, because Nexera ID, it's give you the objective of having your identity, which is your own self-sovereign identity. You do your KYC, you do your check, and then we have what we call the rules engine. So I want to have access to Crunchbase data, so I had to be KYC, I need to be in certain specific jurisdiction, for example. I need to have some properties. And then I will decrypt the data. And this data, it will be stamped with the metadata with my name, for example. So if at some point I will share the data and resell it, they will know that it's me. So it's huge security for them. This is why actually they accept. And the same mechanism that we are doing, it could be used to any kind of data that you want to provide on chain. And this is what you say, we speak a lot about data tunnel with all this text synthetic data and all. They accept only because we have this mechanism and it's at the smart contract level. You cannot bypass it because it's the content. So here, what I'm speaking here, so you have the funding, which is what we call in finance project financing. On the other side, we have the tokenization protocol, we have the compliance, we have the execution. So how can we give this messaging completely simply to anyone to understand? Because we want to attract institutional. And this is what I am sharing with you, something exclusive. Okay, so be ready, please. Okay? So, and everything is around messaging, okay? We don't want anymore to speak about funders, data tunnel, tokenization, DeFi terminal. It's cool, it's amazing, tech is really cool. But we cannot continue like this if we want really to have a brand awareness. Okay? So this is where we came up with the thing that makes sense. So when we speak about finance, you have capital markets, which is investment, when I speak super simply, and you have money markets, which is debt. Okay? Which is what is done also on the DeFi. You have lending protocol, you have decentralized exchange, you have investment, you have strategies, you have lending, borrowing, and so on and so forth. But on the other side, you have the interoperability, you have the bridge, you have the cross-chain application, and you have all this to execution, to compliance more and more because of MiCA or factual. So actually, we are building new kind of markets, okay? And this is how we call it. So this is AllianceBlock. So AllianceBlock basically is the infrastructure for decentralized tokenized markets, okay?
Yeah.
So speaking about decentralized tokenized markets, actually, you are encompassing the capital markets, the money markets, you have the tokenization itself, you have the primary issuance, you have the secondary markets, you have the compliance, you have the data governance, you have data management, and you have all the rules, basically, regulations, okay? So this is everything that we have done since 2018, actually, it made us to arrive to these specific points, which is AllianceBlock is the infrastructure for decentralized tokenized markets. We have clients now that are institutionals. We can tokenize everything because it's the same, I would say, technology. As you can see, we speak about tokenization, microcredit, non-bankable asset, compliance, and identity. They are all part of this new infrastructure. We know that RWA are real-world assets, are multi-trillion company, multi-trillion markets. So this is where we are positioning ourselves. Without basically leaving away all what we are doing, no, it's become just modules. It's not the ones that we need to show to people, it's just modules, okay? So as you can see here, we have for institutions, they can tokenize everything and can use these modules. But we are also for blockchain builders, any startups will be able to build and accelerate their vision. We have Dua, we have Flus, we have Engine, and more builders that we have been basically working on the last 2 years. So as you can see, you have the DeFi terminal, the text, data tunnel, bridge, funders, and so on, which are all for builders. Because builders now, they can come, they can do a proposal within the DAO, they are able to raise funds with funders, they are able to use DeFi terminal to be able to do everything around liquidity mining, strategies, bringing liquidity, enhancing their community. The builders are able to leverage the bridge to be able to do cross-chain apps or omni-chain, what we call omni-chain as well. They are able to leverage the DEX, which will come like in Q3, which means that they will be able to have secondary market to trade, and they will have the channel to monetize their data as well. So all this becomes just modules for startups to have. And this is what we call it builder as a service. They come, they have the vision, and they can leverage for funding, for tooling, and so on and so forth. And then the last point is developers. Everything you need to build, which is in line with the first one, but this is how AllianceBlock ecosystem is. Okay? So lots of things, but as you see, everything was really done in a way that we arrived to this, I would say, point in time. The website will be released next week, so it's the perfect timing.
Awesome. That was a lot there. To say I'm overwhelmed would be a bit of an understatement. I didn't think I'd wake up to that much news, but also I didn't think I'd wake up to a little sneak peek of the AllianceBlock website. So I'm really grateful for that. I guess I feel like you answered half my questions there with that summary. But a few things that have happened since our last discussion in terms of you guys' collaborations and partnerships, because that's something I feel like you guys really prioritize. As you've previously mentioned, you really put an emphasis and focus on open collaboration and really building with everyone in this space. And we've kind of been seeing that happening more and more. With like Galileo Protocol, for example, that's a project that I had previously worked with, and then I know you guys had just brought into your funders program. So it's awesome to see that mutual connection and the continued, progression from Galileo Protocol. I think what they're building is really cool. But beyond that, I think there's a lot of other partnerships you guys have kind of formed that you've already mentioned some of them, right? Like Crunchbase was a really big one because I think they're one of the biggest, I'm not sure what you'd call them, but they're behind LinkedIn. I think they're second behind LinkedIn, right? Yeah. And then there's ToroNet, which I hadn't even heard about until you guys partnered with. But once I looked into them, I was like, wow, this is a really massive market for potential. And then, of course, there's Artbanks. So just kind of on that end of things, I'd be curious to hearing how much time you guys have been putting into that, because it seems like you guys are, as usual, nonstop pushing with collaborations, but kind of some things in the pipeline and just how that's been lately.
So I'll tell you what people don't see. So this is sometimes we can be a little bit emotional when you release this news. Like Artbanks, it took exactly 9 months work.
Wow. From
the first contact until defining, until having the NDA, until being able to discuss the scope, until because they speak with many other technology providers. It's not just like with us. It's lots of different people, specifically all around the world. So imagine that everyone wants to work with them because it's kind of huge and they have huge value proposition. So we need to basically convince them as well, that the technology is the best, and also to show them the way that we are working. That is it's not just blah blah. It's like we do what we say when we say what we do. ToroNet same. The business development, when they first contact with them and they started to work with them, basically ToroNet have a huge market of almost 39 million farmers, and this is just the beginning because it's Africa. So when you speak about Nigeria, you can go to Ghana, to Mali, to Senegal, to Cameroon, to the Anglophone part, to the Francophone, to the French part, to the English part. Okay, so it's a huge market. Okay, so the same. And you can see they have USAID, which is kind of very big name as well, to help all this social impact investing within the developed country and the third world country. Okay, and this bring also all the doors to the Asia Pacific and all these big countries, as I said earlier, Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, and India as well. Okay. So it took also around 6-7 months hard work from the teams to be able to arrive to a contract that we sign, and we can become the key technology providers, which is big. Okay? So we are working on the proof of concept with them, having the pilot and starting basically. So with ToroNet, it will start with 2,000 farmers, then it will go to 2 million. Then if it's good, we will go to these 35 millions. Okay, but at the end, it's always the same underlying technology: identity, compliance, tokenization, funding, investment, always. So this is why I showed you on the website, we speak about the infrastructure of the decentralized tokenized markets, because it's always the same. Pick your modules, use them or use them. So it took a lot of times, of course, to be able to work, because let's say it's business to business, it's B2B. So the life cycle to be able to sign a contract, it can take up from 6 months to 18 months. So it's a lot of time. So this is why sometimes when people are impatient, so they need to understand what is happening underneath. So now we are speaking with 6 different people, okay? 6 different companies. Something I cannot say much now, but I can say that we have signed partnership with one of the biggest IT consultancy in the world, which we will become the technology provider, and they will basically be able to integrate our technology to all their bank's clients. Okay, so I cannot say the name, but there are not a lot. Okay, so we will be able to announce it, I would say, hopefully September, October. Okay, so and this will open also. People speak about, yes, you speak about traditional finance, decentralized finance, like where is the institutionals? So everything we do are institutionals by definition. Okay, so Ant Banks is institution. We have, and this IT consultancy group, it's even much more bigger because here we speak with banks. Okay, so this is what it takes. This is like what the business development are doing, what the sales are doing, specifically also educating people about the technology, how it works. It was very hard in the beginning because when you come to people, when you have a vision and do not have a product, it's always complicated. But now everyone speak about, and I would say the thing that is helping us is we were ahead of the curve. So we spoke about tokenization. Even sometimes people miss it, but if they check the white paper, so many information there that now we are managing to build it actually with all the technology. We were ahead. But the biggest problem in crypto is that it's so moving so fast, okay, that it's very, very hard to adapt. And you can build 6 months product that will cost you $2 million the day after the market completely switched and you are dead, okay? And this happened with all people that are building staking, liquidity mining campaign, all this like liquidity mining, all this basically for toolings, they are not working anymore because no one is interested in real liquidity mining, even though I believe that there are ways to enhance this, to bring liquidity, which we are working on. So I would say we had the reflex to 14 months ago to start building the underlying protocol, this Nexera protocol that we speak about, which connects all these dots. Okay, and it's done based on this meta NFT, which is this on-chain data container. So actually, the way we build it, the first question that we answer ourselves: do we have the technology that is adaptable to what can happen next? Tomorrow, maybe we can have complete new way of doing DeFi. Maybe we need to have complete new way of dealing with compliance. Okay, so we have to adapt. How long it would take us to adapt? So this is what is Nexera about, which give us the identity, which give us the compliance, which can now just plug and play. Okay, which are fundamental layers for this tokenized like infrastructure of decentralized tokenized market. Okay, so everything we have done, we learned from it, we did a mistake, but now we are in a way that we are a business that is mature, that are having reputation within the markets, that people like are working with us, and we are signing like big partnership. And it took time, to be honest. And this is what people need to understand. It's not something that could be done in one day. But all this, like I would say, hard work of 5 years is given us to this time and to be able to deal with all these big institutions.
For sure, yeah, I can completely understand your point on that. How, you know, a few points actually. The first point being the space is ever evolving and just constantly moving. I mean, we're always seeing this with the narrative shifts. I think a month ago it was AI, then it was Pepe and meme coins, and now I'm not even sure what the main narrative right now is. But yeah, the crypto space just moves so fast, and that's because it's such an emerging and developing market that's completely global and accessible to anyone, right? So it makes sense why it grows that fast. And the other thing, just about kind of the growth you guys have had since 2018, obviously it's been, you know, a thing of beauty to watching you guys start out as just a small team of 3 and then evolving to what you guys are now. Though I guess starting off one of your first partnerships with the London Stock Exchange, I can't say that was really a small feat, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, but kind of switching gears a bit, because I really like how you mentioned the core points of Nexera with decentralization, compliance, identity, funding, etc. With the focus on regulations and identity, we know those points were really focused in the MiCA bill, which was passed not too long ago. And I know you guys have had some work with complying with MiCA and working within those frameworks. And then obviously, of course, your guys' partner, the London Stock Exchange, is also mentioned in that article alongside LCX and Swiss Digital Exchange. So do you want to just talk a bit on MiCA, some of your guys' contributions and work with complying to those standards, and then some of the other entities involved with that?
So actually, I think like this is the fiesta today. So let me share again my screen.
Sounds good.
I wasn't prepared because like actually we are working on this, but I will show you a one pager. So this is the Nexera ID basically, and And so we need to upper the game when we speak to people. So basically what we got is self-sovereign identity issuance and verification platform that empowers company to embed composable compliance workflow. So this is the most important term, is composable compliance, being able to choose and pick from different type of compliance to be able to build your workflows, okay? Ensuring seamless and secure interaction within the Web3. This is very important. So this is exactly what is about Nexera IDs, the identities, self-sovereign identities, and composable compliance, okay? So this give you basically like really like these types. Nexera like this identity and rules engine, and this is the powerful. It's dynamic rule engine where you can have any input, any rules, choose your output, okay? You can invest if you are non-US citizen, non-high-risk countries, for example, more than 18 years old. But you can put any type of rules, okay? And we even have the people that they will be able to provide rules with no code. They just write human code, and then we have algorithm to be able to analyze it, to transfer it into code, and to deploy it. And this is what institutions like, okay? So what we want is to empower users to easily import, to generate self-sovereign identity related to the real world and digital identities. It's very important, but also verify users against composable rules in order to receive instant answer to complex regulatory. So this is what is about your question. It's to receive instant answer to complex regulatory questions, okay? So, and this is actually, so we speak here, so we have like, yeah, so I can share with you this absolutely if you want. But to come back to what you said about the MiCA, is it remember me what happened with GDPR. So before GDPR, which is basically everything around data privacy, like startups had to comply, to comply with, okay? Institutions had to comply, specifically in Europe. But what happened? It was hugely costly. It took a lot of time. You need to change your IT infrastructures, and you can need to build things to be able to make sure that you are keeping the privacy of your users. If someone have the people have the right to forget, and so on and so forth. And we see it even with Google within Europe to have the right to forget for users if they want to click on it. Okay, these startups and companies spend like billions of dollars to be able to be compliant. Then you have startups that started to offer tools for these companies, for these startups to comply with GDPR super easily, cutting costs, making more efficient, super like a fast go-to-market, and so on and so forth. Yeah. We can take the regulation with MiFID, which is huge regulation for like asset managers, wealth managers, funds, basically to be able to comply with the regulation. But when this regulation came up, it generates huge cash flow that has to be spent with this company to comply with this regulation, which created opportunities for startups and companies that provide tools for these companies. This is exact same thing that will happen with MiCA and FATF. Like end of 2024, startups, virtual asset providers, crypto asset providers has to comply with this in Europe. Okay? If they want to comply, they need to have KYC policies, AML policies, KB policies to be able, and privacy to protect the users, and to have rules. What happens if this and this and this, then what I do? So they need to change everything, or they need to implement. So they will need to call consultants, they will need to spend like hundreds of thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars, depending on the size of the company. Okay, so, and this is why the big four, KPMG, Ernst & Y, like EY, and all these things, they are coming because they are basically like you will spend, let's say, 5,000 like for one like manager, like 4,000 to 5,000 a day to be able to do consultants. But well, it's like just to tell you what to do things, but you need to at the end pay to implement it. So this is where Nexera ID from AllianceBlock is positioning itself, is to provide tools for people to be able to comply with MiCA and FATF. Why? Preserving the privacy of users. So the users have always the optional things in order he wants to give his data or not. If he doesn't want, he will not deal with the company. So this is what will create huge cash flow, which will go back to Nexera as a utility, because everything is done basically like with Nexera. Of course, institutions will not buy Nexera. It will be done underneath within the automatic conversion, basically fiat on ramp, off ramp, and you will be able to get this Nexera. So this is what people don't see. It's exactly what's happened for MiFID, for regulation of banking, for regulation of insurance, for regulation for data, and all this. For regulation, like anything that was regulated, it creates huge opportunities. We are positioned ourselves ahead to be able to take advantage of these opportunities. So this is what people need to understand. And this is where we speak about builders, company, institutions, to give them tools to be able to make things much more efficient. Mm-hmm.
That definitely makes sense. Yeah, I think companies definitely spend a lot of money every year just to follow regulations, and it sounds like a pretty silly thing, right? It's like just to follow these rules that you guys put in place, we have to spend billions every year.
Exactly.
It doesn't make much sense, but you know that's kind of how the system is. So let's not question that. And especially because you guys are building a solution for that, right? So let's really not question that. But regarding the whole, Nexera ID protocol, I know we've been talking about that for a little bit now. You sent me that link about Brilliant Finance, right? So, of course, I had to take a look at it. And you said that was actually a project built over top of Nexera ID. And reading through the document, I didn't get to read through the whole thing, but I did see the hints of Nexera with digital self-sovereign identity, and then managing your own data. That really gave me vibes of Nexera ID. So I'm really curious if you could just talk on Brilliant Finance, and then also some of the other corporations and startups seeing some sort of interest and demand for Nexera.
Absolutely. So actually, Brilliant. So it's like I would say children of AllianceBlock. Okay. So it started as Duo, raised fund, 150,000. Then they started basically to work on a huge market, which is remittance and cross-border payments. Just to give you an example, when you have MoonPay that is on-ramp, it's millions of dollars of revenue, because you take at least 100 bips of every single transaction that is done. So if you have $2.5 million in volume, I'm not speaking about buying from you, it's just volume going through your app, okay? You take $25,000. So it's huge revenue generator, okay? This is why you see more and more of an on-ramp, okay? Then you have the remittance. Remittance, I was checking earlier, like it's insane, because I was checking the numbers, and it's like for the total cross-border payment markets, volume is $156 trillion. And if we take just the B2B, like B2B cross-border, basically payments market is $150 trillion. Okay, and just the B2B cross-border payment revenues from startups that are providing, or companies providing these cross-border payments, it's 1.9 trillion revenues.
Wow.
Huge markets, okay? So then from these two words, it's rebranded to Brilliant, because actually the Brilliant has huge market. So Brilliant is good in terms of community, because you speak about Brilliant, you speak about billionaires. But Brilliant is also like bridging billions. So, and they want really to build this orchestration of financial evolution. It's very important. And why it's even better, it shows how easy to build on Nexera ID. So it's using Nexera ID wallet infrastructure to build the whole wallets, which means people will be able to do their social login, they will be able to connect, they will be able to pay with fiat, they will be able to have their credit card or debit card, it's debit card, sorry. They will be able basically to do payments, cross-border payments. There are discussions with Brilliant, with top of infrastructure provider in the US, because they want to penetrate the US market, because it's huge in terms of the payments, and the product is going in 2 months. So I really believe that Brilliant is basically the tips of the iceberg that shows the utility also of Nexera ID and AllianceBlock what have been more. But just as a project, so this is why sometimes the B2C are much more straightforward. So Brilliant as a project, it has value proposition, it has a very clear go-to-market strategy. It has basically the utility of the tokens, because every single 100 bips that are taken from, I would say, the transactions that are volume that are doing through the app, it's going into Duo tokens, okay? So this is why for me, I am personally supportive. So it's not absolutely not financial advice or like whatever it's, because like it's our like children, because we are like working with them hand in hand, because we are providing them APIs. But also this project is just starting with, I think it will disrupt the payments and cross-border, to be completely honest. And this is also the proof, because we bring to funders projects that we have been, so just to give an example, Brilliant, we work with them around like more than 11 months from zero to now, okay? So advising them, working with them, making sure that everything is correct, like to have the right token economics, to basically to go to market fast, to learn from our own mistakes, to do things clear, go to markets, benefits, what is the benefits, how can I explain it super fast? So explaining Brilliant is super fast, okay? So I am building a smart contract wallet where you own your data, you own your assets, and you are able basically to do cross-border payments. And if you are abroad, you can send back to your family, for example, payments. If you do Western Union, it costs you 2.5% to do one transactions. Huge, like expensive, and it's really like slow. With this, you can do it like instantly. So it is real world utility with a token that is able to provide to disrupt things, and also it is really toward the brilliant, the burr, and all these meme things that is around the community, which is cool. It's also really properly dedicated to this generation Z, the millennial, because this is technological, but it's still, they want to onboard all people from Web 2 to Web 3. So I am personally bullish, like from these things, like that is what they are happening. Documentation is out. The website is coming out as well next week, which is really cool. And also it shows the power of Nexera ID, how it can basically like make projects coming from 0 to 1 in maybe 2 months. Like everything was built, okay, on top of the API in less than 3 weeks. The rest, It was just the front end. Okay, so we are accelerating the builders to go to market.
That's really exciting to hear, and I mean, I think I just understood the name Brilliant there. It's a bridge between bridge and billion, right?
Billions, exactly, yes.
This whole time I thought it was a play on words for the word brilliant, but I guess there's a little bit of a triple meaning behind the name, so that's cool.
Exactly. So it's really cool because it's bridging billions of what? Billions of people, billions of transactions, billions of dollars, billions, and it even, I think, as a brand, it's really cool.
It is, yeah. I'm curious how long it took to for you guys to think that name out.
You want to laugh?
Yeah.
I swear, the teams worked on the rebranding. It took 1 hour.
1 hour? Only 1 hour?
Yeah.
Wow.
I swear. You know why? Because basically sometimes the things that you spend lots of time doesn't make. So basically it was like using ChatGPT, working, iterating, saying, okay, what is the objectives that the team was, brainstorming, and then you have a list of 10s with lots of different things. And then because we want to do, like the most important narrative is adoption of billions of people, basically bringing people from Web 2 to Web 3. And then one of the term, it was actually brilliant. Then like they started to play with ChatGPT until they found like all this. And then from there, it's like you have the whole concept, but then there is the trigger. And the trigger, it was the name Brilliant, which brought all this cascade of domino effect to build all the brands. And so it's really funny. So it doesn't mean that you spend years on finding a word that you will find the right one. Sometimes it's like AllianceBlock. AllianceBlock was found, I would say, just speaking like this, doing some brainstorming, and it was found in less than a day. But sometimes you can spend like days, and you spend $60,000, $100,000 for something, it will not work out.
For sure, yeah. So it's funny how some things just work out and some things don't. Yeah, but I'm glad to hear Brilliant and AllianceBlock both. I think they're really cool names in the crypto space. There's some projects where I'm like, how did you guys get your name? But there were a couple of other things I want to touch up on. I think, or I know we're running a little short on time, but one of the things I wanted to quickly discuss was regarding kind of what's going on with funders. I know you guys have really been ramping up and pushing that out. There's a lot of projects launching on there, and I'm just curious to hear how do you guys see the forward progression of funders, and do you see that potentially, maybe expanding to security tokens or other small and medium enterprises that are, less in the crypto space but still leveraging blockchain in some sort of way?
No, this is a very good question. So yes, so we have like the V2 that is coming in the next few months, but basically now it's making sure that technology is working properly. It's being fully decentralized. It's having like multiple blockchain. It's for now it's multi-chain, but it will become cross-chain soon because we'll build on top of our cross-messaging protocol, so people don't need to bridge token. They will be able to invest from their own chain to the main chain, so they don't even to bridge. This is where we are going. And now this project we try to have just one per month to have quality over quantity until we have the DAO, so people can self-onboard. We don't need the team AllianceBlock, so because it's completely centralized. It's like Uniswap. Anyone can provide these things, but then there will be a mechanism to choose basically and to validate the projects, and we will have lots of KPIs. Founders is also about reputations. So people are more they participate in the platform, more they will gain reputation, more they will have access. So now it's really it's like I would say founders is really the beginning, okay? And then like there will be of course like everything around like financial instruments. They will have like this back lending or like investment with buyback options. You will have also like small and medium enterprises. We had the occasion to speak with our partners, which a lot of people like forget. It's Top Tech One, which is actually in Philippines, and they work with government to build hospitals, to basically to tokenize farms. Okay, and these guys that we will work with them also soon. As soon as we have the V2 that is completely out, we will have also white labeled platform for people to be able to build their own launchpad, for example. So yeah, so security tokens, we are already working with lawyers to be able to have to issue tokenized shares, to issue bonds, to issue financing. So this is why we speak also again for the tokenized markets. You need to have this money market and you need to have a project financing. So this is the role of funders as a project financing is the same role as the role of project financing into a corporate and investment bank. Okay. So yeah, so funders is really growing. The user base is growing. It shows the utility of Nexera, because there is more than 40 million that are staked there. It shows that people are keeping there, even if you can take out your tokens anytime. But now the reputation will change because it will not become token, it's properties. So if you unstake, you will lose, and it will be this game theory, how much I need to keep to be able to participate into this project. So for now, it's still quite open because you stake and you will have access to these opportunities like Crest and Peak. Okay, but soon this kind of opportunities, it will be reserved to only people with high reputation. But this is why now it's really the beginning of the story of funders. And soon it will have, and this is what we want to say, we don't want to dilute the value of project. So this is what we did with Nexera ID. It has its own Twitter, because it will completely specifically connecting with the rules, with compliance, with the identity. Funders, specifically with financing investments, okay? So then you will have this Twitter page for specific product to keep the narrative clear, and the main AllianceBlock narrative is really helping institutionals to enter to the world of decentralized tokenized markets and to leverage our infrastructure to provide value to their customers.
For sure. I think you said that really well. I think one of the biggest issues with not just small and medium enterprises, but just business around the world is the lack of access to global liquidity, right? And that's one of the main solutions of, your guys' funder solution, but also everything on AllianceBlock, from, the Alliance Bridge, the data tunnel, all of that, that really bridges kind of, or not, maybe bridges isn't the right word, but it kind of breaks down the barriers around the world and makes it so that, I'm here in Canada, you're in Switzerland. I would be able to access the markets in Switzerland as long as it's regulatory compliant to do so. Whereas today, I'd probably have to spend a ridiculous amount of money to get someone who can get me into the Swiss financial markets.
Exactly. I think you perfect. The way that you say it, it's exactly this: is breaking barriers for institutions and retail to access to opportunities that they would not have been able to access before, or they would have paid a lot to be able to get access from legal point of view. And this is the beauty of the decentralization. This is the beauty of DeFi. DeFi is here to provide liquidity. Decentralization is here to provide transparency, okay, and security. And then you have what we built on top of this technology to be able to make like the compliance with the rules, and to be able to do this pre-compliance check, pre-trade check, and to make sure to create global markets. Because it's been a while that we speak about global market, but we still don't have it really, I would say, in the decentralized space, because you still have siloed. But when you build this core infrastructure, so imagine you have the blockchain, Ethereum, like Cosmos, Avalanche, and so on, Polkadot, and all these different ecosystems, okay? There are dApps, protocols, layer 2, scanning solutions, like whatever. And then you have the layer 3, if I may call them like this, decentralized application to provide services, DeFi, supply chain, this. But actually don't have like really core infrastructures on top of different blockchains to be able to build these plug and play markets, to be able to take your modules, to use them, and to provide value to the customers. So this is what we are aiming to build, is this second layer, basically, which is these tokenized infrastructures that will exactly what happened with the digital transformation for retail bank, where you have the legacy systems, build the API layers, plug to a lot of fintech, provide value to your customer, bring more customers, bring more fintech to be able to provide their services. Same what happened with Apple. Have the App Store. App Store is your phone, and then you can find your PPT. You can find like your application. You can find your fitness. You can find like you have so many different apps within your phone. Okay, easy that you can just connect, download, and use the app. That's it. So this is what we need. And this is what we call these tokenized markets. It's more on the infrastructure level, okay? But this is what we call. We want to have it this layer, thanks to Nexera protocol, to be able to everyone to plug, to build their modules, to build their app, to have this app store, let's say Nexera store, where everyone can get it from his phone, from desktop, and install. I want maybe for like to have some access to some lending protocol. I want to get access and everything with your passport, which is your Nexera ID. You come, you own your data. You have your passport, you have your action, you have a reputation, you can go. Maybe you can get a loan at a low loan to value because you have a very, very good score. For example, you can tomorrow go and to have access to exclusive investments for only people that have certain reputations and they have been KYC. You can get access to specific data to be able to build some specific analytics that you need for you and your clients. This is where we see the future of AllianceBlock.
That's awesome. I think I just got a new idea for a name for your guys' project, because I always called you guys a playground before, because if you think of, I think I've told you this analogy last time, but it's like if you have a DEX and that's like a swing set, and then you have say like a derivatives protocol and that's like a slide. You guys are like the full park with kind of everything inside that park. You have the slides, you have the swings, you have the monkey bars and everything. But I feel like you guys are actually more of the app store for global finance, because that's kind of what it seems like the direction you're going to at this point. Because within finance, it's not just, you know, capital markets, right? As you said, there's liquidity, there's identity, there's compliance, etc. So you really need the full package, and I think you guys are kind of the app store for that. Now, as we're kind of running a bit short on time, I figured we could do I guess two quick rapid fire rounds. The first one will be crypto related. So I'll be just, you know, quickly listing some of your partners, and just give me a quick summary of how things have been with them and what the plans are in the short to near term. And then for the last few minutes, I'm thinking we just do a rapid fire round like last time, where it's not crypto related. Just ask you stuff like, what's your favorite food? Yeah? All right. So let's start off with the crypto related ones. As usual, I'm going to start off with Quant. How have things been with Quant Network? Any updates on that end?
Yeah, so actually we discussed, there was some project related basically that we are trying, but like for now I know that they are very, very busy because they have lots of also clients that they are working on. We need to touch base hopefully in Q4. So we can see like basically some of the projects that we are working on where we think that we can integrate quant as well, which is also for institutions, because as I said, really quants I think is really an amazing technology when you want to plug it and to be able to provide secure infrastructures in the decentralized space for institutions. So I think this is good. So it's always in our mind. So we are waiting for Q4 to be able to come back and to see like how we can move forward.
Awesome. Okay. And then what about the whole plug and play side of things with like Frank Templeton, Visa, and all those other guys?
It's huge. I think the business development and sales team have been doing huge. Like actually, Matthias and the team, they were in San Francisco at Plug and Play. A lot of contact, a lot of startups, a lot of corporates, a lot of meetings, which is really good. So I think we are quite respected as well within the Plug and Play ecosystems. We have been speaking, invited to different like conferences, podcasts. Like we provide value. Startups contact us to be able to build on top of us. So we are working also with them to be able to have the Alliance Hub within Utrecht to have the hub with developers, Web3 companies, Web2 companies that want to come to Web3 companies with the government, and Plug and Play will be part of this. Plug and Play also, like at some point, we can have some startups from there that will be able to come to funders to raise funds, and this is also something good because it can diversify also for users. So Plug and Play is a huge part. We are very, very proud to become like to be corporate partners. They are providing to us huge value, and we are providing as well value. Actually, we have a meeting on the 27th. Unfortunately, I can't because I will be traveling, but we have our head of product of Nexera ID that will do workshop with L'Oreal, LVMH, Lacoste, all the brands to showcase them how can you bring adoption to Web3, okay? Because all the brands use NFT. We have another one that we will use basically Nexera ID rules engine to be able to do hyper personalization. So for brands like luxurious brands, like all the retail brands, basically fashion brands, because if you see it as well, is like when you speak about hyper personalization, what is hyper personalization? Is I know everything around you, I know all your data, I know everything about your cookies, what you do, and then I can provide you specific ads in your website to be able to get. So you say, oh, what the hell? How they are listening to me? They are into me. But because of GDPR, because of privacy, how brands are able to target groups of individuals. I want to target only people between 18 and 24 that are interested in sports, that like techno, let's say, okay? So, like these people, basically what we are building is that users own their data, okay? So they have all their verified credentials that have been issued, okay? And they can choose to monetize their own data, so which means that at some point you will have marketplace, and then let's say LVMH say, okay, I want to have access to this 1824 like cost, and they are into sport and they like techno. So all these people that give access to their own verifiable credential while keeping anonymity, they will receive, for example, some ads or specific offer from these people. So we will see a new wave of hyper-personalization thanks to the crypto and decentralized technology, actually, because of this privacy, because of identity, because. So yeah, so it's moving well, so we have like really, really good meetings coming up with the corporate partners.
Awesome. Okay. And then last crypto partner I'll ask for today is Casper. I know you guys run a node on their network, and they've been doing some pretty exciting things. So any news on the collaboration with that end of things?
Yeah. So for now it's really nodes. So we are one of the established nodes like within the ecosystems. Like I am strong, like I am really closely checking the developments, because for sure that we'll move. We already built on our Nexera protocol. Part of it we have built it on Solana, so in Rust, so it will be easy to post it to Casper Lab. For me, Casper is a potential of Polkadot and Cosmos in the next 2 years. I am completely convinced. They are a huge team, huge research and development, amazing people, building. They want to become the blockchain for institutions, the world blockchain, Wall Street blockchain, let's say. So. And they are doing quite well. They are rethinking completely the way that they will do financial instruments on-chain, okay? Rebuilding the way, cutting costs for banks, specifically that more and more in financial institutions entering into this space. So I am first fan of Casper, and I do believe that we will for sure build on top of them.
Awesome. I completely share those thoughts. I'm really excited for everything Casper is doing, and especially with what they're doing with IBM and Hyperledger. That's really opening my eyes on that end of things, and them coming out saying they're trying to comply to Quant's SATP. But enough crypto talk for now. Let's move on with the final rapid fire round of questions.
Yes.
So first one to start off, do you believe in extraterrestrial life?
No.
No?
I don't believe, because I don't believe in hazard. I believe in destiny. I believe that I was listening actually to one of the biggest atheists in this world, actually, and there was like a amazing documentary called Expen. And this is amazing because in science, as soon as you speak you want to have an article and you speak about intelligent design, automatically you get basically completely kicked out from the community. So it's really, I really advise to check the documentary Expen. It's amazing. So, and then there was this guy, and he was asking him questions, and he said, okay, let's say that there is evolution, okay? So of course, there is human, there is monkey, there is fish, there is this. So he started to continue with him until the first one that started everything. And then when they asked him, they said, oh, there was at some point a very small extraterrestrial that come and just provide this first cell that it's created evolution, which for me is really when you have one of the biggest physicists in the world, you cannot just give this kind of I would say specifically when you are in experimental physics. So this came to me too. There are lots of paradox. if there is extraterrestrial life, they have to be, they must be more intelligent than us, which means that we must see them. The fact that we haven't seen them, that there is high probability that they have been extinct because they were so evolved that they were so more that they completely destroyed their planet. Okay, so and there are also lots of this kind of funny paradox like this. But for me, everything happens with a reason. We are in the perfect basically place in Earth in a certain specific I would say way between the sun, the moon. Everything is working the way that we are constructed. It cannot just created again and again and we have this kind of I would say when we speak about extraterrestrials. Okay, because if there was existing, so either they are just starting, okay, or they already they are much I would say evolved than us, so we would have already been seen them, I would say. So yeah, I believe that there is humans and the Earths and everything else around, but no extraterrestrials.
I'll have to check that document out. That was a very detailed answer that I wasn't expecting. Yeah. All right, but the next question. Let's say 5 years from now, every major stock exchange is on AllianceBlock. 70% of small and medium enterprises are also building and using funders. How do you celebrate?
Oh man, this is a good question. Okay, so how do we celebrate? I think we will... the first question is celebrate an achievements, of course. So this would be of course it would be huge achievements, and the question is that we will ask ourselves is, did we made it and we provided value for all these people that are outside the financial systems that cannot have access to opportunities? Okay, and yes, if you have 70% of SMEs that have access to funders, I think we would have. So how would celebrate? To be completely honest, so maybe we bring some technology shares in a big stadium. We bring all community of AllianceBlock worldwide to this stadium. Yeah, and then we can do dance competition.
Oh, that sounds exciting! I'll have to be there for that. I'll be waiting for my invite.
Yeah, so yeah, that's good. And we use the DAO to choose which stadium in the world we do.
For sure, yeah. Got to leverage every part of AllianceBlock for that, right? Use funders to fund the whole event and everything.
Exactly, yeah. We will have airdrop.
All right, and final rapid fire question for today. Let's say if you're not building AllianceBlock and you're, let's just say, relaxing, how do you think you'd go about the rest of your life?
To be completely honest, when I stay I cannot stay 2 days without doing anything because I'm constantly thinking. And actually, I got this question from one of our advisors, and there are two things that I would love to do as a next challenge. So build the really quantum resistant infrastructures for blockchain, basically to be able to really prevent from all this the fact that breaking all the encryption the encryption algorithm now because of the quantum. So really we heard some people during this quantum blockchain, but this is something that for me it could be very interesting, but also having so highly scalable infrastructure to be able to build let's say quantitative modeling, financial infrastructures, intelligence on top of distributed AI, and with this new way of the quantum computing, or to be able to have to mine asteroid with intelligent robots
Wow.
to do asteroid mining. That could be very interesting. So it can provide maybe more, I would say, wealth to people here that we can that can help even to develop, because I don't see why we go why we will go, for example, to Mars to live there and to create colony if we don't know, for example, 90% of our oceans where we can do a lot of things. So we need to spend more. And if we're at some point the resources of Earth will be finished, so we need to find new resources. The only way to find resources is on asteroid, and we have a shit ton of asteroid there. So it could be a nice challenge as well, yeah.
I love that answer, and it really ties back to what you said last time when I said what you spent most of your free time doing. You said thinking. You're just overall a hardworking, no mercy guy, always trying to find the answer, hey?
Absolutely, yeah, exactly.
I love that.
Before I was saying technology is the answer, but like there is always an answer.
Yeah. All right. Well, Rachid, thank you so much for coming on again. It was an absolute blast getting all the updates about the AllianceBlock ecosystem, about you, and just about everything that's happening in the crypto space. So once again, it's always a pleasure to have you on. You're always welcome back, and best of luck with continuing to build out everything with AllianceBlock, Nexera, etc. And if people would like to reach out to you, where could they do so?
So they can reach out like on Twitter. I need just to unblock the message. They can also like, of course, like the at AllianceBlock within the Telegram, at AllianceBlock in Twitter as well. So and like my Twitter also at Rachid, at Ajaja Rachid. Like everyone is welcome. Every question is welcome. And yeah. So like and I would advise everyone, before just following the mass, like always ask the right questions and get the answers from the team. Okay, and you can always tag me to get answers.
There you guys heard it. So that'll be right down in the description below. And thanks again, Rachid. It's always awesome to have you on.
Thank you.
All right, so that's episode 2 with Rachid Ajaja in the books. Some of the most eye-opening things to me in this interview was their progress with Nexera ID and the consistency they've had in continuing and building collaborations regardless of any obstacles that comes in their way. Let me know what you guys thought of the interview and which parts you enjoyed most and are most excited about for the forward progression of AllianceBlock. If you guys did enjoy this discussion, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button while turning on that ringer to help with the algorithm and also staying up to date. And while you guys are at it, check out Tokenicer.network for all my content platforms in one spot. From my Twitter threads, Medium articles, Spotify podcasts, interviews, and much more. And as always, that'll be right down in the description below. But that's about all I've got for you guys in this video. As always, everyone, be sure to stay safe and keep learning. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.